Hello, I'm Rose Stanley with World at Work TV. I'm joined today with Steve Seykora from Mercer, and we're going to be talking about implementing HR systems. Steve, how has purchasing technology changed, and what does it mean for companies today?
Purchasing technology has changed quite a bit over the last few years on a number of different fronts. I'd say first and foremost, a lot of the technology itself has changed. It's gone from sort of your old on-premise solution that was highly customizable to more of a software as a service, cloud-based technology. And purchasing those two different types of technology has definitely changed. A lot of the software as a service providers are asking a lot of their clients to maybe even move away from the RFP process, which would have never been thought of back in the on-premise days. That's not to say that clients are doing that, but in some cases they are. I'd say that also HR is becoming much more involved in the overall buy decision. I think back in the old on-premise days, the buy decision was pretty much run by IT and maybe finance, and today we're seeing much more involvement from the broader HR function. Maybe not at the depths that we would like to see, including total rewards, including some of the other areas, payroll, benefits, what have you within HR, but HR is more involved.
So what are some of the unexpected challenges that you've seen in implementing new HRIS systems?
Sure. Number of challenges still. I think, at the end of the day, implementing technology is not easy. It's still a difficult task. It takes a dedicated team. It takes a number of resources, and it takes time. So implementing technology just because you've moved from the software as a service or from the on-premise solution to the software as a service type architecture doesn't mean that it's become any easier. The challenges that are confronted, are kind of, there are some newer ones and there are some sort of older ones that we would have found in the on-premise days. Still determining what the solution should look like in the future can present a problem and a challenge. Determining your future state processes, making them efficient, making them effective, in what's typically called blueprint design. That can be challenging. A lot of organizations have grand plans to change their processes, and what they typically end up doing is implementing the process that they have in place today, which isn't always the most efficient and effective. So that could be a challenge during the implementation. I'd also say that when we work with our clients, what we tend to see as well is still maybe not the right amount of focus on communications and change and just overall organizational readiness. A lot of the technology providers will tell you that their solutions are very intuitive and you can kind of use them out of the box, if you will, and that's not always the case. I had a client that moved from an all paper-based approval sort of system, if you will, to promote, demote, transfer, and terminate employees. Required 4 signatures, and then you could go into the system and do what you needed to do. Well, a lot of the technology today has automated workflow, and determining how that workflow should move can be very difficult and challenging for organizations. So those are just a couple of the things that I think challenge organizations. I think also governance structure, as I mentioned before, a dedicated team. A lot of times during implementations, you have team members who are double hatting, conducting their day job as well as being a part of an implementation team, and that could be very challenging and could slow down the implementation process.
What are some of the main causes for the delays in implementation of these HRIS systems?
Sure. I'd say some of the delays are maybe a lack of resources on the project, a lack of proper scoping of the project on the front end. A lot of times with the software as a service solutions, the implementation time frame from the legacy on-premise solution is consolidated. They've come to the table with best practice processes. And a lot of the providers will tell you that that can streamline the implementation approach. And it can in some cases, but it also can present problems by moving too quickly. The organization, again, may not be ready for an implementation that quick, and maybe the move from a paper-based approval system to an online workflow system. So that could slow it down. I would also say that just overall agreeing on what the future state should look like can slow things down. We tend to call it business blueprint design, blueprinting what the future should look like from a process perspective. That can be challenging in global organizations in determining what it should look like from a North American perspective versus a European perspective versus an Asia perspective. And getting that agreement and sign off on how a certain process should work takes time. And then you have to go and build it in the system, which obviously takes time. And then you have to go and educate your organization on what that future state process is going to look like and how things are going to work in the new system in the future environment.
Steve, what are some of the expected outcomes for HRIS?
Sure. A number of expected outcomes that make the HR function, I would say, more of a strategic player within companies. Globalizing your talent, having at leadership's fingertips the ability to run data on any of their talent around the world, their employees around the world, rewarding and assessing their employees, literally with a couple of clicks of the button, is sort of one benefit to that. I'd say the other is the ability to run analytics. With a lot of these software as a service solutions, and then being placed in the cloud, a lot of the analytics are there. The clicks are there, and so when people are promoted, demoted, transferred, when you relocate one department into another department, all of that becomes data for the organization to use. What worked, what didn't work. When we went out to Notre Dame and we recruited these individuals, how long did they stay with our organization? Were they successful? Are they high pose? All of that now is available in these solutions. It's sort of a one-stop shop in an integrated data fashion, as opposed to kind of the old days of on-premise solutions where you would have sort of a core solution, an on-premise solution. Finance may be a part of it, HR may be a part of it, but then from an HR perspective, you kind of bolted on your benefit solution, and you bolted on your payroll solution, and you bolted on your talent management solution. And it was very, very difficult to get at the data that organizations needed. And with these software as a service solutions, that data is all there, it's all integrated, and allows for the ability to use data to make informed decisions.
Very cohesive, all put
That's right.
together.
That's right.
Thanks a lot, Steve. I appreciate your insight on this.
Sure.
For World at Work, I'm Rose Stanley.